Hi everybody. This video may be a little odd because I'm trying to pull together a few things that I think are important but don't necessarily feel like they go together at first glance. But I'm going to do this, we'll see what happens, and if it gets too weird you can look at cat videos. Of course you can do that here too. So I want to kind of work into the intersection of bibliography and structure, which isn't actually much of a stretch because bibliography is essentially the study of the physical book, what goes into it, how it's built, type, type on a page, pages in a signature, etc., 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 building out from the very basic unit, which is a piece of paper folded in half. So what happens is today, unless you're dealing with antiquarian books, which hopefully you will be because it's a lot of fun and there's a lot to learn, paper comes off a machine in an endless roll, and they can just cut up whatever sizes they want. Prior to that, which is prior to the early 1800s, well, actually prior to probably the later 1800s, because even after the invention of the paper making machine, paper was still being made by hand as it is today. There was a kind of a loose standardization of sizes. They weren't very specific, and much like type sizes, the point system hadn't been invented, so there was no 8 or 12 or 16 point type. It all had names. There was pica and there was minion, and these all, to the knowledgeable printer, gave him the information he needed as to the size of the type. So what happened with paper is the paper sizes had names, and I've got a few pre-cut pieces here. So one of the smaller ones, not the smallest, but one of the smaller ones was called Fool's Cap, which you may have heard of. This is a Fool's Cap sheet. You can see it's 14 by 17 inches. All right. Next, this is not by any means the range. There are many more sizes than these. I just pulled out 4 that I thought sounded interesting and cut them. So this is what's known as post folio, which is, as you can see, 16 by 21. Okay, it's not a bad size. Next we have demi, 17 by 22. You don't have to look at me, you can look at the paper. And then the largest one that I have cut is royal, which is 19 by 24. So this is very close to the size of a sheet of Hanamule, which is 19 by 22, I believe. So you can see kind of where sizes are going. Then there are the larger sizes too, and of course, if you've ever heard, if you ever heard anybody talk about Audubon's birds, there was an elephant folio edition of Birds of America. Yeah, I'm pretty sure maybe it was a double elephant folio. I don't know, but they were the biggest ones. These are pushing bed sheet sizes. All right, so. So there you've got kind of parent sizes. And what happens then when these get folded down, you probably are aware of the sequence of folding, which I actually will show you. But then you get a folio, which is a sheet folded in half, quarto folded twice, octavo folded 3 times, which gives you, the quarto folio gives you 2 leaves, quarto gives you 4 leaves, octavo gives you 8 leaves. There's something called a 12mo, gives you 12 leaves. So if you look at an older bookseller's catalog, or a bookseller of, kind of predominantly antiquarian books, you may see the term in the cat's link, excuse me, a royal octavo. which is this size sheet folded down to get 8 leaves, all right, which is going to be a Royal Octavo is going to be significantly larger than a Fool's Cap Octavo, which you probably wouldn't do because it's now you're getting into miniature territory there. But these terms, when you see them, give you a surprising amount of information in just 2 words. So, you know, keep your eyes open. And you're going to say, well, how does this bear on what I do? Well, we still fold down sheets to get to where we want to go. Also, if you have an older book, pre-early 20th century, because they were done the same way, fairly late. As you open a book up, you will see at the bottom of every X number of pages a letter, A, B, C, D, etc. And then if it's a fat book, it will start A, B, B, C, C, ... These are technically these are actually the signatures, the alphabetical organization of the choirs or gatherings or signatures. The word signature has just kind of come to mean a packet of folded pages rather than just the identifier. So, you know, people can get kind of testy about it, but it's not really necessary. And then, of course, we also have the weight of our paper, which is the amount of cellulose fiber in a particular area. And today, everybody, you know, the trade has kind of moved into the grams per square meter method of informing the client or the printer, you know, how thick this paper is. You got a square meter, which is roughly a square yard, and it will weigh a certain amount. 90 grams or 100 grams is a text weight paper. You know, as it gets fatter, as it gets heavier, you know, the grammage goes up. Traditionally in the States, they've used what's called basis weight, and the basis weight of a paper that you'll read in a catalog is the weight of 500 sheets of a specified area of paper. Okay, so basis weight is 60-pound paper. That's the weight of a ream of that particular thickness. 90-pound, 28-pound, which is your basic, copier paper. So that's what a ream of roughly, hold it, let me see here, 25 by 35 inches will weigh. So 28 pounds thin, 90 pounds heavy, getting into cover stock. Okay, so the other thing that happens then is when you open an older book, if it has the signature markings at the base of the text block, this will help you find the center of the signature, because you'll go in X number of pages, or you'll count from signature B to signature C. Let's say you get 8 pages. Half of that is 4. There's the center of your signature. That's where you will find your sewing thread. And that's kind of important, because you don't want to go ripping in there and basically taking conjugate leaves apart. That's not cool. You really don't want to do that. So I guess in some ways this is, kind of real sub-basic book anatomy. So that's why I'm kind of trying to pass this stuff on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab my folder. I'm just going to, since this is here off the camera, I'm not teaching folding today, so you won't worry about that. But here we have there's a fool's cap folio. All right, so if you take fool's cap paper, you fold it in half, you get a fool's cap folio. which is approximately 8.5 inches wide by 14 inches tall, which is not a bad size. You know, word of advice: folios are not strong because you've only got one thickness of paper here. So whenever you can avoid it, if you're making books from scratch, always avoid it. Avoid a folio, doing folio signatures, because it's inherently, you need a couple of thicknesses of paper to really make sure that the thread stays where it's going to go. So I could do a foolscap quarto, but that's not bad. Hold up. Okay, foolscap quarto, square little guy. All right. If I go up to, let's take this sheet of royal, and I fold it once. So it's about 12 by 19. This is a honking big book. So I probably wouldn't do this. So instead, if we fold it, turn it 90 degrees, fold it. Now you have a royal quarto, which is not a bad proportion. It's a little square, but it's not bad at all. Okay. Now you have 4 leaves that you can print half at a time on your press. So you can actually print, if you have a big enough press, 4 pages, 4 pages. So you can print 8 pages in a single pull. We're talking about a hand press now. 2 runs through the press, you've got an 8-page signature. Nice. You could even pull it down more, then it gets a little more vertical. This is an octavo. So now you got a royal octavo, which is a nice size. You know, if you look at it, that's got nice proportions. You have to, something I didn't mention, of course, is that you have to cut the folded edge off. This is called the bolt. Not a big deal. You'd be doing that anyway, probably. You also have to cut one foredge. All right, so there are some technical, considerations here. But that's a nice proportion, and you get 8 pages, 16 pages, 2 runs through the press, unless you're doing color. But we do that. And then what else we got here? Same deal with the demi. Actually, this is a little smaller, so I'm not going to worry about that. The demi and the post. But these are my 2 ends of this particular demonstration. So we'll go ahead and fold this down. So this is a royal octavo, and this is foolscap folio. Okay. Now, if you look in more modern book catalogs, book dealers' catalogs, they will often tell you whether, it'll say octavo or quarto, or sometimes they'll say folio, just to give you an idea of the relative size of the text block or the book. An octavo is generally considered to be, folio is going to be the biggest, quarto is going to be the next biggest, octavo is kind of your normaler books, let's say. Then you get down to 12 and 16 mo, and then you're getting down into, kind of small books. But this is just kind of fun stuff, because they're kind of funky names, and they tell you a lot, which is always, this makes you a member of a secret club, if you know what a royal octavo is, or a 12 mo, or if you're looking into machine printing, then you go into 32 and 64, and that's just too modern. What can I say? But yeah, so that's what I wanted to share. It's not a big deal. It's not world shaking, but it's just one of those really cool things that you will come across if you start to work on older books. So thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking it out. And I will be back with something else in the middle near future. So that's it. Take care.